Damn it, a little bit early. What's going on, everybody? How you all doing today? It is Thursday, March 31st, and we're here again broadcasting to you live from the beautiful Cockeysville, Maryland. Wondering if it's going to get a little bit crazy because we've got those storms coming in from the Midwest, and who knows what's going to happen with those. And so, who knows? Well, anyway, actually, it's been pretty mild. I was surprised. I went out. It was like 60 degrees. I was like, whoa, this is pretty comfortable. I was like, all right. So we're here. And yeah, the weather's a little bit nicer than the last few days. So how are you all doing today? What are you guys up to? What are you drinking? What are you smoking? Where are you? What's going on, Brian? How's everything going? I have been home all week. Remember last week we were here and I was smoking and I had that cold, so I wasn't able to really give the HVC 500th Anniversario Tesoro its due course. So it's just been, I'm only now starting to get over it. I still got a little bit of sniffles, but only now I'm starting to get over it. And so I had a cold. I was concerned a little bit that maybe it could have been COVID. So on Saturday I had a test. That came up negative, so that was all good. So, not too bad. It's been all right. So what's going on? We've got some coffees here today. We got coffee from Saudi Arabia. Actually, like last week when we were talking, my bags were lost. Happily, they were delivered, I think, either Friday or Saturday. They were delivered the next day, so that's good. That's good. Oh, what's going on? Thank you. And it was weird because, I was getting a little bit nervous because normally I get the bags back within like 48 hours, and it had been 72 hours. So I started emailing friends in Saudi Arabia. I was like, hey, man, can you call the airline out there and see what's going on? And United didn't have any news on their website or on the servers about updates for the competition. I mean, for the baggage. And then suddenly I got a text message from the driver, and he's like, your bags are here. And I had a photo of the bags at the front door, and I was like, well, right on, man. Thanks so much for you. Yeah, Rusty. I'm getting ready. Got to rest up. I'm looking for a new location to shoot this episode next week in Boston. Boston, it looks like it might be a little bit rainy, which, makes it difficult to be outdoors. There's a place next to the hotel that I'm staying. I'm staying in the back, in the South Bay. And next door to the hotel that I'm staying in is Carson Beach. And I was thinking maybe I can go to Carson Beach. And then there's also the JFK Museum, the Presidential Library, although I don't think they'd be very happy if I was smoking there. But I was thinking maybe I'd go to the beach, and then if it's going to rain and be cold, then I can't do that. So I'm looking at some potential places to smoke in Boston. Maybe we'll see if they'll let me do something at the Cigars de Stanza, which is on the north end. So who knows? We'll see. We'll be up to that. What's going on, Tony? How you doing? Good to see you. Do you see you? Rusty's here. Yeah, I know the intro song. I have to get that back. The reason the intro song isn't here is because the intro song is actually on the interface that I have at the desk. And I'm thinking that eventually I'm going to move that interface down here to the studio. So we'll have all that and then use a different one. I just got some cash from the federal government. So maybe I can play with it for that. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So, yeah, we're going to get it. Don't worry, we're going to get it back. And so how's the sound? Is it sounding all right? So what I'd like to do is get that mixer back down here, the mixer interface, so that we can, bring some of the older audio. Like this audio probably isn't as nice and as robust and round as the one I normally use at the desk. But I guess, yeah, it's been a while. It's been like 3 weeks because I've been on the road for that time. All right, so speaking of on the road, now we're going to get into our coffee segment. So today's coffee comes from a company called Camel Step. And Camel Step is a coffee company, again, also in Saudi Arabia. This was actually in my bags. So I thought I'd bring it here. And actually, I got some Camel Step because Yasmina was like, hey, can you bring some Camel Step? And I was like, yeah, I'll get some. And so I got this bag, and and this is from Colombia, their San Isidro farm, and it's got some really nice aromatics on the nose, like a very pretty smelling cigar. So Oh, there you are, Yasmina. What's going on? Here's your coffee. Right here. No, this is like it's probably half a kilo now, or just over a pound. So this is one of the coffees we used in the competition, because it was strange. Like they blew through all the coffees and that Camel Step had. So I was like, I'm gonna grab this bag and take it home, and it's still open. So, but it's still very good. I drank some of this coffee yesterday. So yeah, but I think you'll enjoy it. It'll be good. It'll be good. All right. So for today's coffee, I gave it a nice coarse ground and put it in the French press. So today we're going to do the French press, and of course, as always, 24 grams of ground coffee. Can you see that? Oh yeah, that's not bad. Where's the light? I find so now that I got my bag, I got the light. Oh, there we are. Nice, relatively coarse ground. Then we're gonna get our hot water. Oh, got to prepare our timer. 4 minutes. I can't really see that. It's 4 minutes. And so here we go. We're gonna add the water. Ow, son of a! This is the problem with like doing it the way that I'm doing it. So I'm adding a little bit just to get the wetting of the coffee. All right, so we're wetting the coffee. And we're gonna wait for about, I gotta turn the timer on. We're gonna wait about 30 seconds for the coffee to do its thing. And then we're gonna go forward and add more. The idea is that you want to let the coffee bloom and float because of the CO2 gas that's a residual effect of the roasting process. And then we just use the water stream to punch down the cap that is forming. As you can see, it's really thick. You can't really see that, can you? But see, there's a cap, right? You can see the cap there. Actually, it's really thick, so it doesn't really show through, huh? So now we're going to add the rest of it and use the stream to break up the cap. Oh, that's so interesting. Like, it doesn't even show through. Like, when we're using the other methods, you can always see through it. Now you can't. That's the thing about the French press. It's very, robust. And that's the thing about the French press, because it's a full immersion, it gives you a lot more of the brew development, and and then of course, because it's a mesh filter, right? This is a mesh filter. It allows a lot of the really minor sediments and essential oils to flow through, so you get a lot richer of a brew. And George wants to know, what did he miss? How's it going, George? Not you haven't missed too much yet. We're just talking about the coffee. The coffee is the Colombia San Isidro from Colombia, and it's roasted by our friends at Camel Step Coffee in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So James would like to, or Rusty wants to know from his buddy James, can anyone suggest a cigar to go with chicory coffee? Well, I think the Revenge will go very well. This Tonight cigar I think it'll go well with the chicory, the heaviness there. So 87 live streams for pouring it. Yeah, well, not too bad. The worst one, actually, it's interesting because I work as a barista. I tend to be relatively resilient when it comes to hot water pouring on me. Like, I've accidentally poured almost an entire pitcher on my hand, and luckily it wasn't really bad. Actually, it was after a day. After most of the day, it was fine. But one of the ones I really had painful is that I was wearing these sneakers, right? The mesh type sneakers. And what was I cleaning? I think I was cleaning a French press, right? And we had these big water towers with a handle, and it just pushes the water through, right? and somehow I pulled the water and it sloshed out, and this like little gloop of water, hot boiling water, flew down, landed on top of my shoe, like this is the top of your foot, right? It landed like through the shoe right here, and actually gave me a little bit of a burn. I was really kind of like irritated with that. Rusty says, burning was, oh yeah. Yes, definitely the French press has a great body. It's one of my favorite ones about that. So Tony says the H. Upman Heritage Chronogorder, is that the one you're recommending to James for the chicory, or just what you're smoking this evening? Oh, as we're saying. Oh, that is his suggestion. Okay, great. How much time? Oh, we're almost done. All right, 4, 3, 2, 1. So now we'll just take it and plunge down. Now, the thing about the French press is that there's like a strainer. So you want to make sure that I don't know if you can see that. I can't really tell. Oh, there it is. You see the strainer right there. Oh, no, right there. There it is. You got to make sure that strainer is right where the pouring happens, right? Otherwise, it just, makes it more difficult. That's all. So here we go. We're pouring now. We're pouring. I must say, I do miss my stack of Intemperance boxes on the desk. The thing about a lot of coffees from the Middle East, they're very much into the lighter roasting method. So you get a lot of brighter tones. Actually, I don't know if that's, when I was thinking about the coffees, I was like, maybe this might not be the perfect pairing for the Revenge because there's so much strength there, right? You want something maybe. I was thinking of a coffee that, maybe I should get a coffee that has a little more oomph to it to like balance that. But I thought, you know what, let's see what happens. Oh, it's still hot. Try Nika Blend on the milder side to bring out the brighter flavors from the chicory influence. Maybe Padron Damaso. I have to be honest, I thought that was one of the most disappointing cigars that I have had. Like when Padron, when it came out a few years back, I was so like interested to try it because I really enjoyed the Connecticut wrapper of the Drew Estate Undercrown Shade. So I was hoping for a similar experience. And then when I tried the Damaso, especially, it was $17. And I just thought it was terrible. Just terrible. I was so disappointed. And I've never tried one since. I was like, oh, no, that's just too much money to spend on something that was so detestable the first time out. Yes, exactly. Ouch. Oh, Rusty says he had a strainer mishap a few mornings ago, spilled coffee. Oh, yeah, that happens. It happens. Man, sometimes you just spill it and, my gosh, it's crazy. Why, thank you. Thank you for the sympathy. So George says I should revisit the Damaso. They're very different. So they changed the blend from the original? Maybe I should try that. If they have, maybe I'll try it again. I consider the Avo XO or Grand Habano Blue and Green Lonsdale or Tatuay Black Label Cazadores. Oh, the Tatuay Black Label Cazadores. That is a heck of a cigar. Heck of a cigar. All right. Now we got our coffee ready. Let us get into the cigar itself. So this is the RoMa Craft Intemperance Revenge. It is a box pressed Robusto, 6 or 5.5 by 52. And as all of you know, there's no secret in this. This is my favorite cigar. And I thought for the last, almost 10 years now. And I thought that it was I should put this in the lineup here on the show, especially since we're running the scoring now to see just how it does. Will it change my opinion on, let's say if it doesn't score well, will I change my opinion on being my favorite? Probably not. This particular cigar was sent to me by Mike Rosales and Sean Coleman. Since we're personal friends, like, well, I'll send them coffee and they'll send cigars. So it just every blue moon we'll do that exchange. And so that's this one. Actually, I think I opened the box on the show a few weeks back, and I've been letting this sit in the humidor to balance itself out. I think the first one that I had was that was another one, but I just put in the humidor, let it balance it out for the last like several weeks, and now we're gonna get into it. These range about $10. I think I've been able to get them as low as $7, which makes me very happy at $7. 10, it's getting to the point where it's getting plus 10 now, like 10, 10.50. So I'm just like, ooh, it's still very good, but it's just like I would like to be cheaper. So George says, I also was disappointed that Damaso released, but not these days. Okay. Oh, Mr. Ray, Bobby is here. Good, Bob, what's going on? Ray says hi, speech therapy working. Oh, great. You should let him know to come join us on here. So what Bob's talking about is Ray. I mentioned it last week. Ray is one of our dear friends in cigars, one of my first friends in cigars, to be honest. And he, used to run a place in Honolulu called the Don Pablo Smoke Shop. And sadly, he suffered a stroke a couple months ago. And actually, Bob just told me that last week. And I was like, what? And so I'm glad to hear he's doing well. That's really great. My prayers are there, and I wish I could get out there soon so I can go visit. So Tony says he's smoking a Punch Fu Manchu with a Diet Cherry Pepsi. Ah, yes, of course. So any thoughts on the Fu Manchu yet? And George hopes that the Fu Manchu doesn't ruin the Diet Cherry. And Brian's got the LFD 660. Nice. And he appreciates that thought. All right, so the Intemperance, like I said, is a box press Robusto. Right? Come on. I was first introduced to this cigar. Is it ever going to focus? There's just not enough light. I really need to solve that. Oh, it's changing. It's not working. Hang on. Let me make some changes to I was playing with the camera a while back, so I was maybe I made some setting changes that were inadvertent. We go through the menu here. Hang on one moment. Focus area, there it is. Focus area. Where's my center focus? There we go. All right. Now we're back. That should have solved it. Oh, thank you, Brian. Appreciate that. All right, here we are, the Intemperance Revenge. There we go. Center focus. And it is, like I said, it's my favorite cigar. And basically, I first learned about this cigar in 2013. So what happened was I was going to Honolulu in September 2013. I think I was in Japan or somewhere in Asia, and I was coming back. And sometimes back then, I would be able to route my flights through Honolulu for a couple of days and just hang out. So I was able to do a routing for the weekend through Honolulu. So I called up Marvin Chang, who's a friend of mine out there, and he's like, tobacconist, and I was like, Marvin, man, what's going on? He's like, oh, hey, we're having this event at the Waikiki Yacht Club on Saturday. And I was like, oh, well, that's great. That's my club. I'll be there. And so we went to this event. It was a RoMa craft event. And, this is still pretty early on. And we were there having a smoke. And I had never heard of RoMa craft. Marvin's always been very good. Marvin's always very much on the forefront of what's going on. I remember in 2004, I was in Honolulu, stayed at my friend Frank's place. And Marvin was like, hey, man, I just got these new cigars. They're called Tatuaje. And I was like, what? These are really great. So Marvin's always been the one that is the leader in cigars. And Like if you may have heard of the Tatawahe, the T110s that were made for Hawaii, those were made for Marvin. So he's always been around and things like that. And so in 2013, he's having this special event with Skip. And so Skip was there and I went and I was trying this. So at the event, they give you like this 5-pack of cigars and I maybe smoked 1 or 2. It was really strange, that event, because the Waikiki Yacht Club is a open air club. Like the dining room was open air. Like there's maybe one wall and the rest are all just, open air, which is great because, the trade winds are always blowing. However, the night of this event, there were no trade winds. There was what they call the Kona winds, which means that the trade winds stop blowing and everything gets stagnated. So, man, this open air dining room was just filled with smoke. Like I couldn't believe it. I was so surprised that it was this way. And so I maybe smoked 1 or 2. And then the next morning we had that was a Thursday, I think. Yeah, it must have been a Thursday. And then because Friday we had a luncheon at a friend of ours' house. So one of our other friends, Wendell, he used to live in Honolulu. He moved away. But Wendell, every Friday would have steak lunch. So every Friday that I was in town, he would always be like, "Hey, come on over to steak lunch." And they would grill some steaks for lunch and we would smoke cigars on his deck. And it was really a great time. And that was when Skip came. But let me start lighting this because I'm just going to be talking all this way. So the Fu Manchu is going well. Good to hear it. Good to hear it. Oh, so let's look. So it's got a nice wrapper, right? The color is this kind of nice, like mocha color. It looks a little bit rough, right? It's a little bit on the rough looking side. It feels, it's not silky smooth like a lot of other wrappers that we've had. This one, you can feel the texture, the slight roughness of the leaf, but it does have a slightly silky oiliness to it. So there is a smoothness, a satiny smoothness, maybe that's the best way to put it. And then, of course, it has an open foot. Right? Open foot. Box pressed. Looks like this one might have a little bit of a hole down the center. Cap. So that looks pretty good. Let me just I'm going to make some notes on the score sheet. I think there's a light manure, but it's very, very mild. Like some, are very pronounced. This is very mild. We're going to cut with our El Cheapo, my father cigar cutter. The Xikar MTX is upstairs. All right, we're going to cut here. There's our cut. There we go, better. Not bad, not bad. So let's have a taste of our cold draw. Smooth and loose. Loose, actually more loose than smooth. Actually, it's been quite a while since I've had a Revenge. So I can't remember if this now is typical but what I do like about the box press cigars is that they tend to have a looser, easier flow. Like if I compare this to the other Intemperance BA21 Robusto, the Breach of the Peace, it's a tighter smoke than this one. Actually, in the times when the Revenges have been a little bit on the scarce side, I have been very tempted to grab a box of the Breach of the Pieces and press them myself. Because actually, why I was thinking about doing that is because when we took a tour of Padron's factory in 2014, that's pretty much how they were making their box presses. They were taking bundles, 20 bundles, 20 count bundles, putting like cedar things around them, and then pressing them in a press. And I was like, oh, that's how you do it, or that's one way to do it. Maybe some light baking spices or bread-like textures on the cold draw, but I'm not really getting too much, which could be, maybe remnants of my cold that's still a little bit lingering. Like I do have a little bit of stuffiness in the nose. It's not heavy like it was before, but maybe that could be it. I had an AF short story Hemingway when I got home this afternoon. Oh, nice. Or maybe it just has a fuzzy wrapper. Well, that could be two. All right, let us light the Intemperance. Also, otherwise it really on the. Oh yes, it does have that same similar color. You're right. Nice, yeah, not bad for a cheapy. Not bad for a cheapy cutter, huh? Those old cutters, I kind of dig them. And his last RoMa, Brian says, had a branch large enough to beat a small child. Excellent. Should have given that to Jada Pinkett. Oh, Steven, what's going on, man? Welcome from Phoenix. How's things going out there in Arizona? Are you still at work this time, or are you back home? All right, we're going to light. I got last branch here. Wow. These matches do not burn long. All right, so it is a bit loose. It feels a little bit looser. I have a little bit of off flavor, and I wonder, like, maybe I'm still a bit. Maybe my senses are still dulled by the cold. And Steven says he's still at work. Ah, very good. You work in automotive, right? I was just at the auto parts store. What's the auto parts store? AutoZone. I was at AutoZone today, buying some automatic transmission fluid, and so what else did I get? I got ATF fluid and steering fluid, both synthetic. One of them, I think it was the steering fluid, is from that fancy Lucas, and I got the other one from Mobile One. Yesterday when I was driving, I was turning the wheel on the Toyota Tacoma. I heard this noise. I was like, "Oh, that must mean I must be running out of fluid. I better re-top that up." So tomorrow I'll be taking it in, get oil change and filter change and all that. Work it up because we're going to be leaving for Boston next week. I think, Rusty, I'm going to head up to Boston on maybe Tuesday. My hotel is reserved for Thursday, but I might go a little bit early to do some things. And George says that I need a butler for these shows, someone to stand by with a Xikar cutter and a proper lighter. Yes, I think that's a great idea. We will have to work on that. So if you're just joining us, we're smoking the Intemperance Revenge by RoMa Cigars, RoMa Tobacco, and drinking the Camel Step Colombia San Isidro. It's very nice, but maybe a little bit on the lighter side for the cigar. The cigar definitely has, more pepperiness, more body to it. But smoking well. It's got nice aromatics. There's something about this cigar that has a flavor that's different than most cigars that I've been smoking on the show. Like there's a certain robustness to it, a little bit of a darkness. George says, no chicory in that drop. No chicory in this one. The only one that I ever drink that has chicory is the Café du Monde. And actually, I don't even know what that really tastes like because I've only really had it once. Or I'm sure I've had it more than once. But most recently was in 2016 when we were in New Orleans for the IPCPR. So I took one of the afternoons and I went down to Café du Monde, the one that's right, the main one, right? And then I had a nice time, nice beignets, and the coffee was fine with it, sugar and cream and beignets. What more could you want? Like if I thought about it, maybe on a strictly quality level, maybe it's not very good, but contextually, it was wonderful. And that's sometimes what I think with people, my peers in the coffee business, a lot of it's contextual, like, sure, empirically, it may be not very good quality, may not be very enjoyable overall. But like, for example, the diner next door, their coffee is just, on an empirical level, it's terrible. But, when you're having it with like your ham steak and your eggs and your pancakes and syrup with butter, and you put a bit of cream and sugar in it, man, it's just right. Like it's much better if I make the coffee myself at the shop and then drink it with that. It's much better, but contextually it's fine. George says coffee with chicory is only good if you're in the Big Easy. Yeah, that's probably very true. And Bud says he's smoking a Ruination. Oh, nice. Man of War. And George, the beignets make the coffee. Well, I think the coffee is a wonderful complement to the beignets. I think there's definitely a pleasurable experience to have the baked goods with the coffee. Just really lovely. Like today, I had typically on not most days, but a lot of days, I will partake of afternoon tea. Like I like to sit around and have tea. And, maybe some kind of baked good. Sometimes I'll make my own scones, but right now I'm kind of out of jam and clotted cream, so I haven't made scones in a couple weeks. But, I'll sit around. Like today I had to go do some deliveries out in Colombia, so I swung out to Ellicott City, went to, what's it called? Tous les Jours, the Korean bakery, picked up a couple pastries, and then this afternoon I had the tea with it. I went and bought some Earl Grey from Fort Mason. And the first couple of days that I was drinking this tea from Fort Mason, the Earl Grey, like it wasn't very good. I was like, this is not very good. I was really kind of disappointed. So then I double checked the measurements on the pot that I was using. And turned out it was a 24 ounce pot, which means that, every 6 ounces you want to have 1 teaspoon. So I needed to have like 4 teaspoons. So, or at least a tablespoon, right? And so finally I changed the ratio yesterday. And it's better. It's not as good as this. Like years ago when I was still living in Hawaii, there was a Wedgwood store. And I happened to walking through the Wedgwood store one day. I could never really afford anything in Wedgwood. But I saw they had this loose leaf tea, their Earl Grey, but Wedgwood brand loose leaf Earl Grey. And I was like, man, that looks good. So I bought it. And I still to this day think that was the best Earl Grey. That something about the bergamot that they were using that just sung so beautifully through that tea. And I was hoping the Fortnum one was going to be like that, but it's not. It's not. Brian wants to know if I've watched the news. Oh, I haven't even heard. I'm not familiar with this. I'm still catching up with the Blacklist. What is this? What is this? Oh, Moon Knight. Moon Knight. Okay. I've seen the trailers listed on YouTube, but I have not yet watched it yet. So I will have to try that. I'll have to try that. No cucumber sandwiches. Have you tried cucumber sandwiches? Some of them are very good. The last day that I was in Jeddah, the hotel has a afternoon tea service. So I decided, well, I'll partake of it. It wasn't terribly expensive. And, I'm not really, the idea of like cucumber sandwiches is not too good. But the one that they made was perfectly nice. If the cucumbers are fresh and the bread is fresh, and maybe if they make their own aioli, that's not bad. That's not bad. Typically, Earl Grey users use milk in their tea, so bergamot influence. Well, the thing is that the bergamot in the Fortnums isn't like, it's not too forward. Like I kind of prefer the teas black, although I can see why you want to drink the Earl Grey with a little bit of cream and a little bit of milk and a little bit of sugar. But there was just a beautiful quality to that Wedgwood tea years ago, and I was actually on the website of Wedgwood this past week before I went to buy the Fortnum stuff at Williams-Sonoma. That I was trying to see if Wedgwood still had that, and they still make a Earl Grey tea, but now it's in tea bags and no longer the loose leaf. So at the hotel, it was a Ritz-Carlton in Jeddah, they were doing the tea, and one of the things that they had was the Mariage Frais tea from Paris, and I was like, oh, okay, I want to try some more of that. Unfortunately, because of, I guess, the pandemic and the shipping, they didn't really have any more of the Mariage. So I think they had Harney and Sons, which, is not a bad tea. It's just that I was disappointed because I really wanted to drink some of this Mariage. So, so the cigar is smoking nicely. Oh, but back to the cigar. So we're in Honolulu. My friend's Friday night or Friday afternoon. Friday afternoon. What do you call it? Oh, steak grilling. Oh, so Wedgwood used to have their own tea bar, but pretty sure that's probably. I mean, I guess Wedgwood, since they're their porcelain is really what they're about. I guess that's. And then I was starting to look at like tea service items, like what kind of teapots are available, like $175. Like, oh, I'm not going to look at that. I have teapots. I should not be buying more. Anyway, back to this. So we're in at my friend's thing, and it was funny because like I've gotten to know Skip Martin pretty well over the last 9 years, but I have to say that our first outing was less than reassuring. Like it was kind of funny because Skip, speaks what he wants, and like, that's great. But he managed to like offend most of the people at the table that afternoon, talking about the way women drive and how Japanese women drive, and like Marvin's wife is Japanese, and it's like, and she was there, and it was like, oh my. But the interesting thing, so in this, like I said, they gave us a 5-pack of cigars. I don't recall if this was in it, but there were 5 of them. So there was, like the Aquitaine, the Cro-Magnon, maybe an Intemperance. I'm sure an Intemperance, because I think all of these were out by this point. And I smoked them all, right? So that was September, early September. And over the next couple of weeks, I smoked them all. And then in October, Skip told me he was going to be at the cigar shop in Bethesda doing an event. So I went down there. It was like middle of October. But before I went there, I'd smoked all the cigars. And to be honest with you, back then, I didn't understand it. I just didn't get it. I didn't really understand the flavors, the complexity, which is kind of like, it's a little bit strange. Like I just didn't get it. But I enjoyed, actually, despite the fact that Skip had offended most of our friends. I kind of thought he was all right, and actually it's interesting because as time has gone by, I've gotten to know him better, and I guess he's better. I don't know. He's still the same, but you just get to know someone better and you get along with them better and all that. And Bud says the best out there is Lipton Black. Oh yeah, man. I cannot say anything bad about Lipton. As I was growing up in Arbutus, my foster grandmother, that's what she made for us. Lipton tea bags in hot water with sugar, with milk. And that's what I grew up with, milk tea. I loved it. I loved every moment of that. So Lipton tea, I always have fond memories. Skip won't be winning any diplomat. Oh, that's probably true. Of course, the stories get good. Gotta head out. Good night, y'all. Oh, nice. See you then. Did you get by the way, did you find a photo assistant for tomorrow? I saw your post about that earlier. And Rusty says, James says he's sorry he can't listen live, but he sends his thanks. Of course, man. Of course. Let him know. All right. Yasmina, have a great one. See you there. Definitely have to get together for drinks when we're out there. But anyway, I go down to see Skip and hang out at this event. A bunch of guys are there, really nice. We had a great time, hanging out, talking, whatever. And so towards the end of the night, I said, hey, man, I'd like to buy some cigars, like a box of cigars. What cigar do you recommend? And again, I still knew nothing about their line of cigars. And I still really didn't understand the cigar, which really is just code word for me to say that I didn't think I really enjoyed them that much. Like maybe they were too heavy for me. So around this time, like this is 2013. So what was I smoking back then? Like one of my favorite cigars from like 2002 onwards was the Paul Gamerian Bellicosa Maduro. Like I smoked that nonstop for 5 years. Like, and I mean, like really, I smoked that probably from 2002 to 2007. And that's probably the only cigar I smoked. Like I loved that cigar. Like to me, that is still the number one cigar in my purview. This is what I smoke now, and I really enjoyed it. It's my favorite. But like if I was to rank them, it would probably be Paul Gamerian Bellicosa Maduro as number one, then this one, and then the Tatuaje Kahonu 2004. I would say those are probably the top three. But so I'm there, and I like, I'm sure I smoked a couple of cigars at the event. But he's like, hey, I was like, what should I buy? And he said, here, buy this box. And it was the box of Revenge. And back then, the Revenge was only limited to 2 retailers in the country, I think. It was their exclusive. Shop down in Charlotte that eventually ripped me off. And maybe it was JJ's in just outside of Providence in Warwick, Rhode Island. But anyway, so he told me to buy this box. I was like, all right, I'll buy the box. And that's how I started smoking this one. And so I started to smoke it and really just started to enjoy it and tried to get more. And then slowly it snowballed into this like this extraction is not so, it works. It's just not, it doesn't extract as fast as I would like. But, you know, now it's like this madness of like revenge. And it's interesting because one of the things that I think about is like I said, Paul Gammarian has always been a favorite. Tatuai has always been a favorite. And I don't know if this is true or not, but it's sometimes I feel like when I go to certain cigar shops, it seems that Tatuai is not as revered as it used to be. Like it seems to be falling out of favor in lieu of cigars from like Roma Craft or even Crown Heads or something like that. I don't know if that's something you guys notice where you guys are, but I'm curious to know. Like at the local shop around here, like they used to be massive Tatuai people, and now it's very small. I don't really know why. Also, Tibble, Skip suggests you buy a box of cigars Drapers couldn't sell you. Couldn't keep selling you. It's strange. I mean, it's interesting because Skip and I tend to get along fairly well, I think. You know, I did get to visit the Nica Sueño factory in 2014 when I was there, or was it 2016? One of those years. Maybe I've been there twice. But over time, I learned more about the cigars, and I learned more about like the flavors, and they're very different. I think their cigar profiles are very different, heavier, more robust, as they say in the whole Roma craft world. Tastestosterone, not tastestosterone. Is it tastestosterone? Manbacco, and tastestosterone. They're just ridiculousness. Ever since I changed my Facebook habits, I haven't really participated with the online forums as much, so I'm a little bit out of the loop in that. Tony says, since we got rid of Liga at my shop. Tato said, oh, you guys got rid of Liga. Why? I thought that was a pretty good seller for you guys. I mean, I think Tatuai makes really great stuff. The black label, ooh, that's a beautiful cigar. But my favorite, really, from Tatuai is the Kohonu 2004, because that was the first cigar that I ever had from them. So that really spoke beautifully to me. Marvin brought some over that back in 2004 when I was there, and man, just fantastic. But like I said before, like I was mentioning earlier, like I'm always hesitant I was always reticent to bring the Roma craft stuff on the show. I mean, especially like this cigar, because, you know, it is my favorite cigar. It is what I smoke mostly. And, you know, it's, you know, if you're a fan, if you're a fan of something, it's difficult to remain unbiased about it, right? So there's always a bias here, like this in Tatuai. There's a bias. So I've traditionally stayed away from bringing them on, reviewing them on the show. But you know, I thought we'll put it into a test. Now, to be honest with you, it's this cigar through the first. Let's see here. Let's look at fragrance and cold draw. Fragrance, I would say, is on the intensity, at low intensity. The cold draw was also kind of medium. I'm going to say 775. Now, part of me has to wonder, like, you know, am I, because I'm aware that I have a predisposition to this particular cigar, am I going to be, is the temptation to overcorrect, to be less than enthusiastic on it, so that the perceived bias is down. So flavor is very good. Body is, pretty high intensity. I'd say it's good plus. All right, so there we are, 8 and 825 for the flavor and body. And Tony says, we didn't meet their quota 1 year, so we adjusted. All these cigar guys and their quota is so crazy. Talk about changes. Liga ain't the same anymore. Oh, I haven't had the Liga stuff in quite a while, but I always liked the T52 Belicoso. But like I said in the past, once it got to the point of like $18 a stick, I was like, that is not going to be a regular smoke. And if they're changing, then Tony says, but it comes down to your favorite. If it comes down to your favorite cigar is the best cigar out there for you, and the rating should have a. Oh, sure. I agree with that. But I do have to wonder, like, I'm curious to know how does it fare in an objective scoring. I mean, it's still flavorful and enjoyable on my palate. There's a spiciness. There's like a pepperiness. There's a darkness to it. I mean, it's all just kind of like intermelding. There's strong, like, this isn't the strongest body, but it's got a lot of body. So it's like this symphony. But here's the interesting, like all of these flavors, it's a symphony, right? But it's right on the edge. Like it flies right on the edge of cacophony. Like it's just about to like if you're writing symphony, and it's like cacophony is like right here. It's about to fly off the rails. I think that's what I like about it. Like it's almost at a point where it could like lose its control and just become offensive. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what I like about this so much. Like, for example, the Kohonu 2004. Symphony of flavors, speaking in unison, just going along, right? Beauty. There's a symphony. Maybe it's like Wagner. Or no, but the heaviness of Wagner, right? The heaviness, but like it's right on the verge, like it's about to explode into like just madness and chaos. That's what this cigar is about. I think that's what this cigar is about. Brian says, I stopped buying Liga. I thought it changed. I'm sitting on some boxes from years back. Well, that's probably a good thing. And George says, you're correct, Tony. Ratings shouldn't affect your own preferences, but many folks can't separate their judgment from popular opinion. And I think that's true. Like, I think a lot of people will kowtow or curtail themselves. Like, for example, let's say like Like I must say, like in that with that in mind, those people that are like, I love Rocky Patel, I love Gurkha. I mean, you have to give them. I have to give them some respect for that because in the face of most cigar smokers that I know, that would not be a claim. That would not be a badge of honor. And Tony says, I just like to live. Yes, well, I like that. That's true. But and I think that's why I find this very appealing. Like it's composed, but like, man, it's just gonna like fly away, like just like go crazy any moment. It's which is kind of like, so for example, the Craft 2018. Like, let's compare this to the Craft 2018, that trumpet shape that came out in 2018. Like that one, like this one is like it's riding that line. It's riding right on the edge. Well, that 2018, when it came out, it was like it just whoosh. It was just like killing you. Like it wants to kill you. Like it just wants to beat you to a pulp. Like just no mercy, right? Even some of those Neanderthals, like they just want to pummel you. They just want to beat you down. Like you're not good to have this. You don't deserve this. Man, really, like that 2018, it was just, I felt like that's literally how I felt. Like I was getting pummeled in the face. Mm. Tony says, Ride of the Valkyries, then to another 10 to 9, 10 to no. 10 to another. Huh? I don't understand that means, but whatever. Whether that turns out to be a good thing, hoarding depends on how long ago you bought them. I think in Brian's case, he's got a lot of old. Oh yeah, there's pre 2010. The Ride of the Valkyries. What's Opera Document? That is one of my favorites. Spirit Magic Helmet. As our old friend Mike Goss used to say, don't let my good taste get in the way of your good time. So true. Touche on that. That's good stuff. I know we've talked about this before, but that is where I kind of learned about opera and enjoying the music of opera. And then really what really culminated, like then there was always the Looney Tunes when we were young. And then for me, there was Amadeus. Just wonderful music from Amadeus. And then into Moonstruck. And I was like, oh, I need to go to the Met. I still have never been to the Met. Every year I think I'm going to go. I'm going to go in the winter, watch La Boheme. When I first decided I was going to do that, Nick Cage was a young man. Now he's an old guy. Like, did you see the movie that he's in that's coming out next month? Or the unbearable, what is it? The unbearable weight of massive talent or something like that. That looks hilarious. But he looks a little bit old. I got to say, he's looking old. I still think of like Nick Cage from Moonstruck and The Rock. Maybe National Treasure, Oh, and then Brian says 2013. He must have gone to check. How is our sound? Is it all right? Am I making noise? Oh, wow, really? You went to the church next weekend to hear the wow, that's awesome. And Di says, what's going on, Di? Did you see the trailer for the new movie coming out with Data from Goonies? Oh, no, I don't think I've seen that one. Of course, to be honest with you, my brother was the fan of Goonies. I wasn't really. I may not even have seen it. I'm sure I saw it once, but it didn't speak to me in the way that it spoke to him and Mike and our cousin. But which one do you recall the name? The one trailer that I did see recently that looks pretty amazing is the Maverick, the Top Gun sequel. Oh my gosh, that looks really good. Oh, Rock Out. Is that today? Okay, okay. Rusty says, if you do the Met, gotta binge one weekend. See the Friday night show, Saturday matinee, and then Saturday evening performance. Oh my gosh, man, that sounds expensive. Like I want the seat in the Grand Partier, and that's at least $250 a pop. But I guess if you're gonna go for one weekend, you might as well do $750 worth of. And Brian says there's lightning in Towson. Okay, be careful. Speaking of Nicolas Cage, he just did a movie. Oh, I heard about that. I have to go watch that too. Everything, everywhere, all at once. Oh, I'll have to look that up. Sounds good. Good. Oh, Pig was an interesting movie. Okay. Lightning in New Jersey too. I would say there's lightning here, but I can't see a thing. Like that's the thing about this studio. Unlike the desk, there's no windows here. Like I'm completely ensconced in darkness. So George says his friend saw Everything Everywhere during South by Southwest. Yeah, I just saw a video from Peter McKinnon yesterday that he went to South by Southwest to watch Casey Neistat's movie, whatever. I don't know anything about it. High school kids. Is it suitable for high school in a classroom environment? Maybe you could show them that movie with Chloe Sevigny. Was that also called Kids? With that guy Casper. They released a teaser that made Jackie Chan proud. Oh, okay, I'll have to check it out. And George says, not sure about Baltimore County, but in a broad area of Maryland, there are tornadoes. Oh, so there are tornadoes coming. They had some pretty heavy-duty tornadoes in the Midwest earlier today. Or was it yesterday? But the interesting thing is that even though we're getting these thunderstorms, I saw a report this morning that said that I think it was supposed to be tonight, or maybe it's tomorrow night, that the coronal injections that happen from the sun are going to produce northern lights that the aurora borealis that will potentially be able to be seen as far south as we are now. So I was like, oh, that would have been amazing to see. That's something I've always wanted to see, the aurora. I want to show my class Burnt with Bradley Cooper. I'd have to make sure my classroom was soundproof. Actually, I really like that movie. I like that a lot. Heavy rain. Are you down in Florida, Di? I also liked, speaking of Burnt and chef movies, I did enjoy the Adam Sandler movie, Spanglish. I thought, it's not totally chef movie, but it's kind of got that element to it. Kind of like Adam Sandler is Thomas Keller. But I thought they did a nice job. And Penelope Cruz is always a pleasure to watch. Oh, speaking of pleasure to watches, did any of you guys, or I don't know if it came up, but the new Ana de Armas and Ben Affleck movie, did any of you guys see that? I have not seen it. I didn't. I heard not so nice things about it. Oh, okay. Yeah, with the folks. Okay, gosh, got it. Nice. Tell your mom and dad I said hello. Hope they're doing well. Oh, Chef was Jean Favreau. That was good. I enjoyed that. Favreau's really into food now, into cooking. I was really surprised to see that. Did you also see that movie? Not the movie, but is it a movie or it's a TV series? I haven't watched it yet. The Italy one with Stanley Tucci. That looked like it'd be pretty good. And I think, if I remember, Stanley Tucci was also the brother in that movie, One Last Night, Big Night, the one where they're making the timpani. I thought that was really enjoyable. And Brian says Russian Doll season 2 on April 20th. Oh, no, 420. So Russian Doll, is that a TV show or is that a breed of marijuana? Ah, yes, that's a good one. Yes, Big Night. That was great. I really liked him in that. I really enjoy Stanley Tucci. Like, I was just watching on the flight home. They had that movie with Emma Stone, Easy A, and Tucci is the parent. He's such a wonderful actor. And then also him in that Anne Hathaway movie with Meryl Streep, The Devil Wears Prada, is very enjoyable. He's a very enjoyable actor. Rusty says he didn't like the CNN story series. Oh, I haven't seen it yet. So, what did you not like about it? So we're going to the second third, and it's rolling pretty fairly well. I mean, my problem with this cigar is usually uneven burn. Like, it's a little bit uneven right now, right? Look at that. It's a little bit uneven. However, I really have come to think that the reason that I have problems with the burn on this cigar is because I really enjoy it. And I'm sucking it. Like I told you before, if I'm enjoying a cigar, I tend to suck it down pretty hard. Like, I'll smoke it pretty hard. I'm not smoking this one too hard because we're talking a lot, but if I was all alone, I'd be sucking this down. Like, I can finish this cigar in 45 minutes. Which makes you think something. So, something I noticed that Brian does, and I don't know about the rest of you guys, if you guys do this or not, but like, typically if I have a cigar night, I'll typically smoke 2 cigars, 2, maybe 3 hours at the most. And I usually will have one of these, and then I'll have something else. Any cigar. And the milder it is, then it usually becomes the first cigar. Almost nothing will be after this in a lineup that I'm choosing. But like, I tend not to smoke the same cigar in a row twice, right? Like, if I smoke this, I don't really want to smoke this again, no matter how much I enjoy it. Like, are you guys like that, or do you guys don't mind smoking 2 of the same cigars in a row? It's a series they did on Italian food. I just found it hard to watch and didn't like the flow. Okay. I haven't seen it, so I really don't have any idea. Sunday Dinner with Andrew Zimmer was pretty good. Oh, I haven't seen that. I haven't really watched much shows. And George says production values on foodie TV so high today. We have raised the bar, maybe too high. Maybe. I think I need to watch more of these shows. So Tony does not like to smoke the same cigar twice in a row. I'm with you on that. How many of you guys have seen Salt? I have not seen that either. I have to admit, I have not seen that. I tried watching that one series with David Chang. What is that called? It was on Netflix a while back, maybe 2 years ago. But that movie, some of his positions just pissed me off, and I was like, I just can't listen to this rubbish anymore. Like, he's so contradictory about what he likes or what's right and what's wrong. It's like one moment he talks about one thing, and then the next it's like you're contradicting yourself, and I just couldn't like listen to it anymore. I was like, ugh. So Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat is fantastic. I gotta check that out. I don't know if you've seen this one Japanese TV series called Midnight Diner. It's not a food show per se, like the ones we've been talking about. It's a television series about this small like eatery that's supposed to be in I guess what's supposed to be the Golden Gai district in Shinjuku, Tokyo. And but it's very food centric. So every episode is dedicated around a particular dish, and it just weaves itself into the story. But I really enjoy that. Rusty says he saw it, but a great resource. I read the book first, and it complements it. Oh, I'm gonna have to go check this out. Midnight Diner on Netflix. Yeah. I'm glad you guys like that. Actually, there's always been a little part of me that thinks that maybe for the YouTube channel, what I should be working on is kind of like Midnight Diner, but like Midnight Coffee, like a coffee version of Midnight Diner. I can wear like a blue robe also. Other food shows that I've enjoyed in the past. What is that one with Heston Blumenthal? Oh man, what's it called? It's older now, but it's got that like melody. I thought some of his stuff was really, really good. Like the way that he talks about roasted potatoes, and he takes the potatoes and he chops them up irregularly shaped and then boils them with baking powder. I've tried that several times. Brilliant. That's a wonderful, wonderful way to cook that. Yes, the Korean version, I really enjoyed that too. That a lot of heart in that one. A lot of heart in that version. Yes, tune in at 12 midnight. That'd be good. The Midnight Dinner Club, different guests come to you to prepare the midnight after midnight meal. I like that. Oh yeah, the samurai. That's an interest with that old retired guy, and he keeps going out, and this samurai keeps appearing to him. That's a pretty good one too. I don't think they've released another season on Netflix for that, but I don't know if they actually did another season in Japan. Like the Midnight Diner, there are actually 4 seasons. There's at least 4 seasons of that in Japan, and only Netflix only released 2 of the seasons, but there's still 2 more. I've watched all 4 of them. There they go, Samurai Gourmet. That's it. And then Rusty says, Heston, the In Pursuit of Perfection. Oops. My computer is... Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. And I also, I must say, I do like the Ramsay series. Like, he had that F word from the UK. I thought that was really enjoyable. And then the Kitchen Nightmares, the British versions, I really like those. Like the British versions, I thought were much more sympathetic to the operators and more about Ramsay really trying to help them get better, whereas the American versions were all just kind of exploitative. Like they just wanted to have that like American TV, all they want is conflict. They don't want to have nuance. No, George wants to know, how many of you are Uncle Roger fans? You know what? I enjoy Uncle Roger. I'm more of an Auntie Liz fan. The blonde Auntie Liz. Like, yeah, I could get me some good, like, Elizabeth Haig. I'm a fan of her. I am disappointed, though, with her book. Like, I don't know if you guys are familiar. So Uncle Roger is this comedian on YouTube who does videos under under Uncle Roger, I think. And what are you? He's a ethnic Chinese guy that lives in the United Kingdom. And I think he comes from Singapore or Malaysia, or his family comes from Singapore or Malaysia. And his whole shtick is about putting on this Chinese uncle persona and critiquing videos online, especially like Jamie Oliver making fried rice. Hiya, that guy makes bad rice. Oh man, yes, he hates Jamie Oliver, just hates it. Like, and I think a lot of it's funny. Like, he's funny. But actually, when he had Elizabeth Haig on his series, I thought those two had wonderful chemistry on screen. Like, really nice symbiotic kind of like relation. And they're funny, and they got along well. They had good interaction on camera. Unfortunately, if you guys are not familiar with Elizabeth Haig, oh yeah, what we talk about Liz Haig? Fui yo. Anyway, but like she released this book called Makan that's supposed to be stories about, I think, Singaporean like dishes. And it turns out she plagiarized the hell out of this other lady. And I mean, not just like, okay, like it's one thing to like use recipes that you found somewhere else, right? That's relatively common and relative. But I mean, like, she took this one woman's story straight from this woman's cookbook, like stories about her life, and it's like, and passed it on as her own. And I was like, wow, that's really egregious. Like, it's really like, so people are really mad. Like, and actually, Liz Haig she has her own YouTube channel, and she hasn't made any videos or appeared with Uncle Roger since that came out in October. Like, that was pretty. And Rusty says he likes the new series on Nat Geo I haven't seen that yet. I have to check that out. The one where he's critiquing Gordon Ramsay but actually I thought that I think for one most recent that I saw of that Uncle Roger did with Gordon, there's some pleasing respect. And actually, I think in one of the videos, Gordon actually kind of said something about Uncle Roger in it. I was going to go, yeah, he's actually coming to Philadelphia at some point. I was thinking about going to see him in Philly. But I think that and that's the one thing, so we're all following because of Uncle Roger, right? But I think when he does his stand-up, it's just him as Nigel Nung, which is different. So I don't know. I wonder. And Brian says The Two Fat Ladies was a great series. Oh, I enjoyed that. Rusty says he's Malaysian. I think you're right. That's right. Keep my fried rice out your mouth. That's what he's going to tell him. Where's the wok? Actually, remember he talked about how Gordon had good wok technique. He was really surprised, like when Gordon was doing the Malaysian dish outside in the. He's like, "What are you doing out in the woods?" The wok, hey, yes. Like, he did that one video where he looked at that Chinese chef, the one with the uncle. I watch that. I do watch that Chinese chef separate before I saw him on Uncle Roger. He's really, that chef is amazing. But it was funny to see Uncle Roger's video on that, because like the uncle is just like unhappy watching it. It was like, oh, that's actually really the Chinese uncle. 1999, 2000 Food Network, Two Fat Ladies, the Japanese Iron Chef shows, and Taste with David. Oh yeah. You know, I really did enjoy in the mid to early 90s, early to mid 90s. I did enjoy watching Emerald. Like, Emerald was kind of fun. That was it. The Taste, before he got to the BAM. The Taste of Emerald, something like that. I thought that was kind of enjoyable. Even back then, like, what was it? The Galloping Gourmet. Like, even he had a kind of fun. Oh, the chili jam. Yes, that'd be nice. The outdoor kitchen, yeah. That was that was awesome. That's what I really would like to get. Like, is a proper like wok burner. That's what I really would like to get. There's one that the restaurant store has. It's like $550 now. It could be $600. It's been going up. Like a couple years ago, it was $400, like $30, and I was like, I was gonna buy it. I was like, oh, and then the price went up like last year, and I was like, oh, I still have like $200 worth of credit at the restaurant store, so I keep thinking maybe I'm going to do that. Ah, yes, the essence of emerald. Oh, that was such a fun one. That was such a fun one. Agreed. Alton Brown and Good Eats. I know a lot of people love Alton Brown. Yeah, it's kind of like the early Food Network was like the early MTV. Like after like MTV no longer plays music. Food Network no longer does like food in that same way. You know, now that I'm thinking about this food thing, if I think about, of course, the famous one is um, Bourdain. Here's a question for you guys. So when you think of Bourdain shows, whether it's a cook's tour, no reservations, or the newer ones, I never paid attention, but I was just thinking about it now. Did they follow a 3-act structure? Like, yeah, did they have like conflict and resolution and all that, or was it just him going around eating and like talking about things? I can't recall myself at this very moment. And Dice says that's back when they used to make food. No doubt, no doubt. And Rusty says, you know how the band came about? Emerald would come to New York to film the Essence of Emerald episodes, and then they would shoot 8 to 10 episodes in a row. His camera crew would start to, oh, that's why. Okay, I think I heard that. Man, to shoot 8 to 10 episodes a day, that's a lot to shoot in a day. And then Di says, Simon's into America's Test Kitchen. What's going on, Simon? How you doing, man? So is Simon there with you in Florida? I like America's Test Kitchen. Like, actually, when I see their short videos on YouTube, especially about like the different tools that they're testing, I like to watch those because I like to see like, ooh, are they what did they find that was good quality, and maybe I have that. What I don't really like about the America's Test Kitchen, and it's probably because these are the free versions and not their full videos that are on their paid site, but on their free ones, they don't really talk about. They show the different equipment they're using. They just don't identify them, except for the winner and the second and the runner-up, or the cheaper alternative. I would like to know the brands and what the problems are, but I guess that's something that George says the French chef with Julia Child was the real deal. Yes, absolutely. Julia Child, she's wonderful. Brian says he went to visit the Food Network years ago. Very impressive, the research and studios. And says Tony Bourdain hated all of his early TV work. He was at war with it. No, I think I read something about that. Like, I'm sure I know he hated riding in that white limo to the French Laundry. He even said that in the video. what I thought was if you go back and watch that episode where Bourdain and Eric Ripert and the other guys go to French Laundry, this is like maybe the mid 2000s, and you watch the video, the captain or one of their servers, this guy Michael, who was my captain when I went to Per Se, is interesting because back then they were wearing these kind of shirts that were from like Belle Biv DeVoe. You know, those kind of like, it's interesting if you watch it, like, if you look closely when Michael comes to talk to them at the table, he's wearing this white like Nero collar shirt and not the 3-piece suit that they would wear later at the French Laundry. And Di says that Simon's in Honolulu, heading to Omaha next week. Going to drive out to pick it. You're going to drive to Omaha, Nebraska to pick up your brother from Florida? Man, that's a massive trip, man. That's a massive trip. Julie Child, not bad for a home cook. If you've never seen Bourdain's episode about Beirut and getting stuck in the I've seen that. I saw it once when it first came out. I haven't seen it. I have to watch that again. That seems really interesting because they were evacuated from what I remember. They had to like sleep on the deck of that helicopter carrier or something like that. That would be crazy. That's one of the things as I travel, like, you kind of wonder, like last week or 2 weeks ago when we were in Jeddah, like the last couple of nights I was there, they actually had a missile strike in Jeddah. You know, it's a little bit scary. Yeah, that was good. That was good. So right now, the cigar, we're towards the end. We're getting to the last third. It's building up. Like, I think I've been smoking a little bit heavier, so there's a buildup of intensity on the palate. I almost want to say it's a tar buildup, but it's not that. It's not that. It's just the intensity of it. Like I said, it's this. It's a very different kind of flavor. Actually, I should keep the scoring going. We finished our second third. I think it's relatively consistent. So I'm giving it the same 8.25. Plus, I think earlier today when I was drinking the tea, I was drinking it too hot. So I think I scorched the top of my palate a little bit. So I'm getting a little bit of a, not burning, but like, you know, a little bit of that kind of like, you know, when you burn the top of your palate, like your skin gets a little bit like dead. Like it's not quite dead. It just kind of feels dry. George says, when he first started to visit Nicaragua, it was a war zone. And Esteli was, oh, wow, where's it really? Man, back then, I can't imagine. Like some of my friends lived through that. It's really interesting. Like when, you know, growing up in America has been a very safe occupation. Like as I would get to know more people in the world, especially through coffee, a number of them that I would meet, you know, and become friends with, you know, they lived through war. They experienced war. And it's such a very interesting thing to think about. Like the video series that I'm working on for the channel that covers that guy, Steve Dudaklian from Beto's Leatherworks. Like his family emigrated to the United States because of the war in Lebanon. So his grandfather in the 1915 was living in a town in Turkey. They're Armenian, So they were living in that Musa Dog. So when the purge, the Turkish purge came, and the Turks were just wiping out the Armenians, the grandfather was one of the people that fought in Musa Dog and kept the Turks at bay. And then they were rescued by the French, and then brought to Anjar in Lebanon. And that's where the grandfather lived after that. And then, of course, his father was born there and grew up there. And then finally in 1975, when Steve was 9, I think he was 9 at the time, war erupted, of course, civil war in Lebanon. And he told me that he didn't immigrate to the United States until 1977. So lived through 2 years of war, like war on their streets. And it's just like you're 11 years old and you're 10 years old and you're living through war, and you're seeing people getting blown up and killed. It's just hard to imagine. Growing up in the United States, it's hard to imagine living that life. And then one of my friends who's from El Salvador, he fought, with the aid of Ronald Reagan. Another friend of mine in Croatia, he was, running RPGs during the war, during the Balkan Wars or the Yugoslavian Wars. And then another friend of mine in Rwanda, he lived through the genocide. So it's really, really interesting. And it's just interesting to think about how lucky we've been to live here, away from that kind of experience. And Rusty says, if you want to see a good show, type Into the Fire Trio Restaurant on YouTube. This is Grant Achatz after the French Laundry and before Alinea. Oh, interesting. Grant really has some interesting stuff. I went to his restaurant in, it's been a long time, 2007. I went to Alinea, had a great meal. But it was interesting because it was not a, it's more what I would call like an intellectual, cerebral meal, at least back then, where 23 tasting course menu, small bites, but very intellectual, I thought. So it wasn't one of those that I didn't think it really, it wasn't one of those that was like addressing the soul, it was addressing the mind. And I'm thinking that maybe that's something more along what Blumenthal was doing at the Fat Duck at that time. But I never did make it to Fat Duck. Like when you bite into a slice of hot pizza, yes, exactly. Has anyone seen Dangerous Grounds with Todd Carmichael? Oh, I saw one episode. So in 2015, my friends and I went to Guerrero, Mexico, and we actually were staying in Zihuatanejo. We were staying at this resort in Zihuatanejo during the nights, and then we would drive up into the mountains of Guerrero and meet farmers and tour farms and all this. And the interesting thing is that if you watch the first episode of season 2 of Dangerous Grounds, Todd Carmichael is in Acapulco, and then he travels to Guerrero. He goes to this farm where he meets the farmer and negotiates buying coffee. I stayed at that farm, that exact farm that it's in the show. I stayed there. I know, and I met the owner of the farm. The owner of the farm was not the person in the show. The guy that played the owner of the farm in the show was actually the translator from Acapulco. So Dangerous Grounds is an interesting TV show in that basically, if I haven't really seen more than the second. I've heard about some of the other episodes. I've only watched the second. And if you want to watch like coffee fiction, it's quite good. It's quite entertaining for that. And people have asked me, like, is it really like that out there? And I was like, you know what? If it was really if the conditions of buying green coffee were truly like that in the world, I would not be doing that. I am not sleeping under a truck in the middle of those fields for no reason, because I'm being chased by, gorillas. Now, I will say that place, Guerrero, it's been a number of years. It's been 7 years since I was there, so it's hard for me to remember exactly the details. So basically, that area, there's Guerrero on one side and Michoacan on the other. So it's a territory that's actually, there is a cartel in Guerrero, and then there's La Familia Michoacana in Michoacan, and their territories straddle it, right? And so, like, the only time I was ever and the only time I never was worried, but the only time I ever had concern was that the guy that was driving us one night, we were driving back from the mountain back to Zihuatanejo, and the guy, I was sitting in the front seat, and the guy was driving. He looked kind of nervous. I was like, "What's going on with you, dude?" He said, "I'm just kind of worried about checkpoints, like cartel checkpoints." And I was like, so I mean, we never did run into cartel checkpoints, so I don't know what would have happened, but. And then one of the farms that we work with in El Salvador, in Santa Ana, like, I think it's changed during the time that I was going there. So, like, the last time that I was there, I think it was 2016, I did notice tagging on some of the buildings in Santa Ana, in the area that we were buying coffee from, that were tagged by MS-13, MS-13, and so, that all of that is around. But I think from what I've talked, my friends that spend more time in Origin than I do, none of them really run into much trouble or have really any trouble. The times that you do worry about trouble or problems is, like, for example, when I'm in Uganda, one of my friends there, he's always like, he's actually Congolese, and so he'll go to the DRC every once in a while. And so usually when I'm there, he's like, "Hey, man," once in a while he'll ask me, "Hey, you want to come along?" I was like, "I don't know about that." He's like, and then other times that I've been there, he's like, I have to go to the Congo. I'd invite you, but it's a little bit troubling now. The DRC tends to be pretty much an active war zone, so I tend not to go to those places. If there's active war going on, I try not to go. George says, "The Contra War is terribly hard on the farmers. The rebels always fled the troops right through." Oof, man. I mean, that was just a brutal time in that country. I mean, this one guy that I know, man, he was a fighter. He fought. The Bourdain episode from Nicaragua I have not seen that one. What happened in that episode? Yeah, the Dangerous Grounds, very exaggerated. I mean, I don't know all the details of it, but at least that one episode was basically a complete fabrication. Like, there's a lot of, maybe it's just me because I'm involved in the industry, so to me it's interesting, but, like, there's, I think, interesting topics to look at in the coffee trades. Like in Guerrero, we're meeting these farmers, and it's interesting because there's what they call a working group. In Mexico, they call it the Grupo de Trabajo. So it's this association of maybe 30 farmers on this mountain, and they're a very disparate group, meaning that some of them are very poor with just small plots of land that them and their families operate and harvest, and then other people in the group have greater resources. They have their own dry mill. They have more resources, bigger land. And, it's one of those things where, like, you've heard of these things called coyotes. And the coyotes are these guys that come to the farm and they buy the coffee cheap and then take it to the market and sell it. They're the middlemen. And, like, in the world of coffee, especially coffee, there's a lot of people that say, "Oh, the coyotes are bad," and blah, blah, blah. And, they certainly don't give the farmers the most that they could get for their coffee. However, the other side of it is that these farmers, especially the ones with the lesser of resources, like, I remember, some of the guys that I know and the green trade. They tell these farmers, hey, this. So let's say the coffee they're producing is like 82 grade coffee. Everybody wants to buy 84, 85, 86 and up. So these buyers will tell them, hey, if you can create a coffee for us that's 85, we're going to pay you extra. But if you don't produce an 85 coffee, we're not going to give you anything more. We'll just give you the base price. And when you're dealing with like the celebrated farms, right? It's not, that are producing high quality coffee year in, year out and getting top dollar for their coffee. It's much more easy. It's easier for them to do that. But when you go to these, what essentially are campesino farmers, and you say to them, hey, if you do this, we'll give you more. Well, the problem is that in order to get that level of quality, it's going to take another 2 months worth of work and time for them to try to produce the coffee that you want. Well, they don't have a bankroll, so they need to feed their children as soon as they can. They need to feed their families now. And where the coyote comes in is the coyote comes and says, hey, I'll pay you this much money for your your ripe cherries, and I'll take it now and give you your money now. But these guys will tell them, okay, we'll pay you more for your coffee. But if it doesn't work out, we'll pay more for your coffee in 2 months after you've done all this work. But if it doesn't become 85 coffee, we won't pay you that premium. So, at the end of the day, we were unable to get this working group to agree to a deal that year. Because of that disparity. And so that's one thing that I learned was that, and that I would actually bring this practice onward later, is that when we were trying to work with a farmer that we like their work, we like the promise of what they could be producing, and we want them to do something special for us, then in those cases we tend, like in especially this one case that I was thinking, we actually will pay them up front the cost of their production, so that at least their costs are covered, so they don't have to worry about that. They can feed their families and such. Rusty says, does he really sample roast his coffee in a bong? I've never heard of anyone sample roasting their coffee in a bong. What I have seen or heard people doing is they have this thing for the heat guns, right? You get a metal heat gun, and there's this kind of attachment that you can put on the heat gun that basically is like an air popper, right? It just kind of has this mesh. The hot air blows through it, and that allows you to roast coffee in the field. Most of the producers that I work with, because they can produce quality. And here's where the whole thing about the coffee business that I have such a problem with. A lot of people in the coffee business talk about, we go to the farms to buy our coffee. We go to the producer, we work with the producer, we're helping the producer, we're helping them for their future, blah, 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 blah. We're paying a premium for the coffee. What I found is that the people that actually you would pay premiums to tend to be the 1% of their country. And so, not that they don't appreciate the money, not that they're not putting that extra money to good use. A lot of them that I work with feed and house and take care of their workers, and the workers look very happy. They're being paid a premium over what other workers being paid. But the people that can produce high quality coffee year in, year out have the wherewithal and the means to do so. So, to say that, we're paying a premium for this coffee from this known farm is helping anyone. I don't really see that happening. Like, that's just not what I've experienced. I need a good knock joke. Like, somebody's gonna have one. avocados are where it is now. Yes, avocados got a lot of problems out there, a lot of problems, a lot of cartel problems. He was disgusted that he was able to sit and have a great meal after seeing the children scavenging in a landfill for food. I don't know where he would have gone for that. Maybe I have to see it. Like I have it. I tried looking for the episodes of Dangerous Grounds a while back, but I couldn't really find them anywhere. The one that we watched in Guerrero, someone brought a burned CD of it, so we actually watched it at the resort together. Brian says, didn't the U.S. ban avocados? The store selection, I haven't really checked. I'm not sure. Was that the Haiti episode? He got some food from a street vendor, and the kids were hungry around, and he wanted to buy them food. They told, I saw that. And to be honest with you, that's something that is kind of real. Like when you travel to developing nations, like if you indulge, it's a difficult thing. Like if you indulge some of that, then it just becomes this kind of frenzy. It really does. I've seen it happen. Like you kind of have to discipline and steel yourself for it. Like the poverty is different. Like I remember the first time we went to Ethiopia, we were in Addis Ababa. It was 2007, and one of the girls that was with us was from Chicago. Her first time out of the United States. She really was shell-shocked. Like she just couldn't believe the relative poverty. Like me personally, as we were in Addis, it was very familiar because I'd been to Manila before, many times before that. And so there's a lot of similarities as far as like the buildings and the streets and everything. And so it wasn't, to me, it wasn't as a cultural shock it was for her, but she was really, really kind of like freaked by it. Ban imports. Oh, the avocado ban is done. Okay. Oh, gotta head it. All right, then. Thanks, George, for coming in. Appreciate you being with us. Have a great one. See you next time. I'm kind of slow. I'm talking all about. And and that's the thing. Like, you're as being from America, where we're told to think a certain way, there's the temptation to think that that's a bad thing. But the reality is that if you're trying to buy really high quality coffee consistently, it's really only the wealthy that can do that. Like, don't get me wrong, like the campesino farmer can produce beautiful coffee. Like I think of this one example in Colombia. This one lady that I met, campesino type farmer from, I think she was from the Huila district. Nice lady. And one year, the year before, her coffee went to auction and did tremendously well. Like she got super premiums on the coffee because that coffee she produced was just beautiful. I wasn't there for that year. Everyone just telling me. But the next year, the coffee that she brought to auction didn't really sell because it wasn't the same. Like maybe it was like 82, not the 87 that it was the year before. And this woman obviously was disappointed because she was hoping that she was going to get something similar to the year before. The problem is that these small farmers, comparatively uneducated, they don't really have the financial resources. They don't have the land quantity. So the year before, she made beautiful coffee, but she didn't necessarily know how she did it. She just happened to grow coffee, harvest it, process it, and the fact that everything just was perfect was very serendipitous, right? It was very like, it just happened to happen. She wasn't like, when you talk about these other farmers, they're like maintaining meticulous records and meticulous everything about producing their coffee so they can replicate that year in, year out. Like one of the coffees that we regularly get from a producer in Nicaragua, the coffee we use for our iced coffee, I mean, they're very well-to-do. They've got a lot of land. They've got a lot of resources, so they can produce that coffee consistently year in and year out and command the additional premium that quality coffee deserves. But the small farmer just can't do it. They just don't have that resource. So it's for me as someone that travels there to buy coffee or to be in the business, it's troubling because you can't. And then like all these coffee people talk about paying more for their coffee. We want to pay more. We want to pay more. Now that the base price of coffee has increased because greater global consumption, especially from China, putting pressure on it. The freeze in Brazil is pushing as hard on it. The problems with shipping worldwide, global shipping has, put some premiums on it. So the price of coffee has increased over the last 2 years. Of course, everybody balks at that. The same people that would be a couple years ago were like, oh, all coffee deserves to be paid more. Farmers should be making more money for their coffee. Well, nobody really wants to pay more. Everybody's happy that it's cheap. Tony says, that was Nicaragua. Oh, okay. Oh, Muhammad Al-Rashidi. Hello, good to see you. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Where are you calling from? And if you're having a cigar and a drink, let us know what you're smoking and drinking. I'm smoking the RoMa Craft Intemperance Revenge and having a little bit of coffee, the Colombia San Isidro from Camel Step that we brewed in the French press. So the last third, it's still as good as it has been. So I think there's going to be some nice consistency there. We did have a bit of a burnout. I think that's mainly because I was talking a lot. One thing I need to mention that I forgot to mention earlier is that this is the last episode that we will be doing on the Ono Coffee channel. After this week, we will be broadcasting next week on the OnoLive channel. So if you look at the show notes down below, down here, and you scroll down, you'll see that there's a listing that says simulcast, right? And there's a link to it. And that's actually what I'm doing is I'm simulcasting this episode on both channels right now. But next week, it will only be on that channel. So make sure that you adjust your settings so that and subscribe to that channel. That way you'll get the notification that the live is coming. And also one thing I should mention is that, like last week, I said I was going to go to Raul's and make the selections for the next few weeks for the cigars. Unfortunately, I was not able to make it there. The plan was really on Saturday to go down to go see Beato's. I had to pick up my shoes that he finished for me and then bring him some new ones. And then I was going to come back. On the way back, I was going to visit Raul's. But unfortunately, well, he was away on vacation in Miami. And so I was like, oh, dude, you're not there, right? He's like, no, I'm not there. So I'm good thing I didn't drive down there. And so I will be going down to Falls Church on Saturday morning to get the shoes, and then on the way back, I will be getting the cigars for the next few weeks. So I will have an updated schedule after the weekend that will for the next few weeks. So right now we're getting a little more heat buildup, right? The heat's getting a little bit building because we're just getting closer. Usually when it gets down to this point, the heat usually builds. But overall, the cigar is smoking well, as expected. I think we can look at the scoring now and see what we have. I mean, I think we're very consistent as far as the flavor and experience. Flavor and body, 825. The burn has been very good. The draw has been very good. It's been very consistent. I'm going to say it was actually excellent in consistency. Overall, I'd say 825. So let's look at some scoring now. We'll do some scoring here. We did have it go out a little bit, but I don't think that was really the fault of the cigar. So let's see here. We have 7.75 plus 8 plus 8.25 plus 8 plus 8.25 plus 8 plus 8.25 plus 8 plus 9 plus 8.25, and that gives us 81.75. So I'll go over that with you so you can see. So as you can see at the beginning, we got the fragrance cold draw. I'd say that was very good at 775. Then our flavor and body throughout the cigar, throughout the 3/3, 8 for flavors, 825 for body. So very good. The burn and draw was 8, consistently was excellent at 9. And then overall, I gave it 825 for a total score of 81.75. So I will compile that into our database. And I still have to compile the one from the Sergeant. I have to go back and listen to the episode to get that full score. And then I will have to obtain another of the HVCs from last week to get that and then redo it. So Tony says, pick up a Black Label trading company last writes Lonsdale. That was tasty and has some bump. Okay, I'll look for that. And then, of course, we always have our question of the week. Would I buy it again? I think we all know the answer to that one. I think I've got plenty of those. I don't have to buy it again yet. I've got plenty to go. Exactly. Hopefully next week in Boston, it'll be fairly mild weather. Although I'm not, at the way the forecast is currently looking, I'm not terribly optimistic about that. It did say the first couple of days that we're going to be there, it's going to be some rain. I was like, oh, terrible. But it is the annual trade show that's going on in Boston. So it's called the Specialty Coffee Association. So it's the major organization whose trade show I tend to go to. I've only missed one since 2003, and that was the one they held in October. They did not. They ended up canceling the one in 2020, and then they rescheduled the 2021. But that was kind of a fiasco in New Orleans. And sadly, I really wanted to go to that one because New Orleans is a great city. I really wanted to explore more of the food there. But of course, the hurricane came and wiped it out, and then my hotel decided to cancel my reservation. So I was left out in the cold. But I will be in Boston this weekend. The trade show starts on Thursday. But I might go up early. I'm thinking about going early on Tuesday because I'm planning to shoot some videos for the channel in Boston. One about one of the oldest coffee houses in the country, and another one about the Boston Tea Party and how the Boston Tea Party was the cause of coffee becoming America's favorite drink. And then, of course, I want to do a couple episodes about the coffee houses in Boston. So if you have any suggestions about coffee houses, I'd be interested to hear them. I'm thinking that some of the places to visit will be George Howell's Coffee. He's got a new one, or relatively new one, at this Godfrey Hotel. Of course, Jamie Fenn Schindel has his Barismo Coffee, which is one of the more interesting people in coffee. Like, I always liked Jamie. I can't say that. There were times when Jamie Van Schindel and I were in disagreement over the years, especially early in the early 2000s when we were a lot younger in the business. But what I always liked about Jamie is that they're very much into their own thing. Like, they're very much focused on what they want to do and how they see coffee, which I really, really respect. And what really I'm looking for is so I was looking through a bunch of stuff, and there's a lot of coffee shops, of course, in Boston. A number of them, use roast coffee from other companies. I'm not really interested in necessarily visiting those as much because, what I'm looking for is really, what I really look for in a coffee place to visit in a city that I'm going to is a shop that has their own vision, their own voice, that speaks differently than the rest. That's really what I'm looking for. So hopefully I can find something like that. Rusty says, "Gonna be rain." Yeah, a lot of rain. I gotta bring a rain jacket. Make sure you get the Lonsdale's. Better. Okay, I'll make sure I get that one. And Yasmin and I are working the Hawaii coffees. Yes, I know. Oh, and Saturday. Okay. I will come by and hang out. You're leaving Sunday, is that right? One of my friends from Baltimore is coming to his very first SCA. So I told him, it's going to be kind of overwhelming. Actually, I made a video about him that comes out next week Wednesday. And basically he just got this new device called the Brood. And Brood is a company that's making these nitrogen cold brew stations. And he bought one for his business, and I was like, dude, I need to come see that. So yesterday I drove over to his place. We shot a video about this Brood nitro cold brew machine. It's pretty cool. And so I decided to release that on Wednesday. Oh, good. Monday. Good. We definitely get together on Sunday night for sure. Because my friends, the girls from Mexico are coming. But they're leaving Sunday. I was like, why are you leaving Sunday? You should leave Monday. I guess they have to go back in time. They're actually coming for Rico on the 6th and 7th. But I think it'll be fun. I always enjoy coming to the show. And then my friend Scott Connery is coming also from North Carolina. He's going to be the rep for the United States Barista Championship, as well as the U.S. Roasting Championship, which I told him I want to come and do some observation at the Roasting Championship because I have to run the one that's going to be in Peru at the end of April. So I need to brush up and make sure that I understand how to do it. It's been a little while since I've done that one. I did the last time I did the Roasting Championship was summer of 2019 in Copenhagen, Denmark. Oh, Pete's coming in too. Good. He can explain to me more about his Hario devices. I've been wanting to get him on video talking about it and telling me how to do it. So good. Do you know when he's coming in and when he's leaving? But those world champions, they're so busy. And then when does Ralph and them come in? And more importantly, have you figured out where we're going to eat? Like, I haven't really paid attention to Boston scene. The last time we were in Boston, a couple of years ago, we went to a place called the Tasting Counter. My sister-in-law is friends with the owners, and we went there. It's in Somerville. That was a really wonderful time. And hey, ask him to bring me one too. See if he can bring two of them. I would love to have one. I have the little drip device. But when I was in Dubai, Gautam didn't have any more of those brewers. Oh, he's comes in Tuesday. He might leave Sunday. He can't leave Sunday. Sunday, you got to leave early in the morning to go back to Hawaii. Oh, I see. Okay. I wonder how long he'll stay in Maryland. My plan actually after the show is to spend a few more days up in New England, go visit some friends. I have a friend one of my good friends lives in White River Junction, Vermont. I told him I was going to come visit. And then I have another friend who lives in Portland, Maine that I haven't seen in many years. I haven't told her I was going to be up there. My aunt lives in Boston, so I have to go visit her. And then I have another friend of mine who's teaching in Ithaca at Cornell, and I told them and they had just had a child, so I was like, oh, I want to come visit. What I was really thinking about doing was doing all that, and then going to after Cornell, I wanted to go over to Cherry State Park in Pennsylvania. That's the observation point for the East Coast for like astronomy. But unfortunately, it looks like if it's going to be raining, plus also it's supposed to be the quarter moon into the new moon, so which is the worst time to go to Cherry State. So I'm probably cutting that out completely. But on the way around, there's a place in Saratoga Springs called Hattie's that has great fried chicken. So I'm planning to go do that. Some fried chicken in Saratoga Springs. Oof. Lots of smoke. Always a good smoke. Brian, we're going to have to catch up on some more of that Resident Alien. I've been saving them for our smoke sessions, so you can check it out. All right. That's good. We're here now. I'm going to put this sucker down. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you being here again on another Thursday night with me, smoking cigars and talking coffee and whatever we want to talk about. Next week we'll be back. We'll be broadcasting from Boston, Massachusetts. I don't know where yet. I don't know what the cigar is going to be. I'll have all that settled by the weekend. And of course, don't forget, next week we're going to be broadcasting on the OnoLive channel and not on the Ono Coffee channel. So again, if you look at the show notes down below, there's a link to the simulcast that's on the OnoLive. So click on that and then subscribe on the OnoLive channel. That way you can get all of the notifications, and it'll be easier to find it next week. So yeah, man, good to see you. Have a good night, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, thanks, Brian. I appreciate that. And we'll see you next time. What's this? $4.47 a gallon at Costco. Oh my. Ooh. Gosh, that's crazy, Steven. I just paid $75 to fill up my truck, 18 gallons. So that was $3.57 here for the cheapest gas, 87 gas. Oh, that's another thing. There's a video that just came out on yesterday, on this channel that is about gas in Saudi. So my friend was driving us around, and we went to the gas station. So I shot a video there, and like the prices differences are shocking. All right, so hope you have a great one. See you guys next time, and have a good one.